Well, we are working on. We're using MongoDB today. I think I dropped a couple of links. Um, yeah. So if any of you have any question, maybe you've been trying to work on something and you have a couple of questions for me, I'll give you the next 5 minutes. Just indicate you have a question. I will unmute you. We can have a conversation on solving whatever problem or issue you are facing currently within that time. So, and you don't have to. You can ask. You just feel free, indicate, and I will mute you. Mohammed is. I think you deafened yourself. Meaning you cannot hear what I'm saying. And I hope network is not disturbing others as well. Okay, so I think Mohammed is probably having network challenge. What's the time now? 8:04. Okay. Come on. Come on. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to explain what MongoDB is. I believe you already know this probably, or you've used it. It's a great tool. It's a great database tool. I would try to talk about the differences between this type of tool and something like Postgres. I'm really going to dive into details and try to make you understand how to learn it even better, right? So I'm going to teach you how to approach MongoDB and how to use it efficiently. I'm not going to write we're not going to be having sessions where we would spend a lot of time trying to build a particular thing using MongoDB now. We're not going to do that now. But I'll show you everything I feel you need to know at least to get started and to start building, real applications using MongoDB. So just in case you have any question, always feel free to drop your question in the chat because I'm also looking at the chat. All right, so what is MongoDB? This is the official website, mongodb.com. So MongoDB is a NoSQL database, also referred to as a document DB. So it's a NoSQL database, and the idea is that you have your data, stored in formats, almost like the JSON that but it's referred to as BSON. So we'll talk about that very soon. Saving data as documents, JSON kind of documents. There are so many reasons for that, of course. When it comes to speed, when it comes to I don't want to talk much about the performance because when you try to measure or compare with some other kind of database service like the regular RDBMS like MySQL and Postgres, it might not look as fast as those other options. But I would say every tool has upsides and downsides, and you just need to know what the right tool is for the specific task or job you're trying to do. But above all, I would say MongoDB is a very good tool. I use it a lot, and that's what we're going to just dive into right now. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I would show you how to install this. I would also talk about a couple of reasons. So as you can see, this is one of the major reasons. Working with data doesn't need to be hard compared to SQL, where you have to create your tables. You have to set up the columns properly. You have to define these items, so it's kind of rigid. Though you can alter things, right? With SQL, you can alter your table, but the problem is when you alter your table, you probably have to do some backup, of your data and restore the backup, or maybe you have to just look for a workaround, right? Because the moment you expand your table, you're already having a problem. So when you're working with SQL, you probably have to take your time to come up with proper structures. But when working with MongoDB and any other NoSQL database, you can actually scale very fast. You can scale horizontally. You can scale your database like really well, right? You don't have to ask yourself a lot of questions about things like partitioning, things like sharding. Just in case you don't know some of these things I mentioned, you can always do a quick Google search to tell you about partitioning and sharding of your databases. But MongoDB makes working with data very simple, so you don't need to stress yourself so much about those things. Okay, so and they have a fully managed option, a fully cloud managed option, which is also referred to as Atlas. I would also show you. So we're going to look at some of their services here and talk about them, right? So they have a cloud option. I think I mistakenly clicked on that. I have to go back. Okay. Yeah, let's see what they have here. Okay, it is self-managed in any environment, which means you can run MongoDB anywhere from your laptop to your data center to the cloud, of course. Yes, and they have. I think you can get a free version that can store data up to 500 MB, which you can use for learning. You don't have to spend any amount on that. You can actually use this on a lot of developer tools, a lot of programming languages, Python, Node.js, which is JavaScript, C++. I mean, a lot of options, right? So, and it's quite easy to get started with. It's a simple transaction in Python, and I'm sure you can change the language somewhere. Okay, maybe not here, but this is a very simple option. Okay, I think they're just showing off like different languages and how easy it is to use. This is C Sharp. This is using time series, and this is in what language? Okay, so I think not specific, but probably like working with time series, I guess. This is searching with the Atlas search, right? And so you see the way it's structured is more like this JSON pattern, right? So you can easily access data using these patterns. You can filter data, right? Okay, so let's scroll down. Data solutions tailored for your business. Yeah, so it's a modern way. It's a modern way of storing your data and managing your data. Let's quickly talk about some of their products. So I mentioned earlier Atlas, and using Atlas, it's more like the cloud option, right? It's more like the cloud offering for MongoDB. We're going to check that out as well. Yeah, so they also have like an enterprise plan, of course, and the community edition is what we're going to be using mostly on our laptop. We're going to install this on our laptops. Whether you're on a Windows, on a MacBook, or on a Linux machine, I'll show you how to do that. Then REM is the data service for mobile and web. You can actually use REM on mobile applications. The way you have SQLite, which is the SQLite, you can also use REM as an alternative. I think I've tried it. I did not use it for anything running in production, but I remember exploring this about 2 years ago or more. Yeah, so I was introduced to REM by a friend, and I just decided to explore just to see how it works. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do right now is to kick off with the installation. I'm going to quickly navigate to the documentation so you can follow through on those links I shared with you. Yeah, I think I shared some of those links. So I'm going to navigate to the installation. For now, you see on this page the manual. So you see I'm on the manual /tutorials. So you can also access this specific page. You can check out some of the articles. If you check the resource section, this is their documentation, right? So you can click on the documentation. You can see different sections of the documentation from here. You can check out their community. And also, I think they have a couple of courses and certifications for MongoDB. So you can, MongoDB basic course. So you can check them out. I mean, the website alone has a lot of resources you can use. As a matter of fact, for this session we're having, we're going to be utilizing everything straight from their documentation. So you will see me pick the code from here, we'll test it, right? So, and I will explain if you don't understand. Okay, so you can install the MongoDB Community Edition, and of course, this page you are shown how to install on Linux, on macOS, and on Windows. So depending on your operating system, you just have to click. Let's go for Windows. I already have MongoDB installed, but just to show you what you have to do. Yeah, so just to show you what you have to do. Of course, you have to download. You have to download this option. This is for the yeah. So you can download this option. If this would run, if you're using Windows 10, right? I don't know if this will run on Windows 8 or Windows 7, and it was not really, it was not really described on this page. Yeah, so I think all you have to do is to click on this. It takes you to the MongoDB download center, and then you can download the version you want. Right, you can download the version you want. For Windows, let's see if I can have access to Windows here. For Windows, yeah, so you just have to click on download, or I can copy the link and share the link with you via the chat. Okay, so I just dropped that in the chat. You can download it straight from that link, or you can also visit this page and just try to get yourself familiarized with the MongoDB website, because you're going to be accessing this website a lot. Okay, so if you're using Linux, Ubuntu, or CentOS, or Red Hat, just click on install on Linux. So you see we have a lot of options: Red Hat, Ubuntu, Debian, which is yeah. So you can download the DEB package, SUS, and if you're using Amazon. The Amazon kernel, if that is what I would call it. Yeah, so MongoDB edition on Amazon Linux AMI system using RPM. I think it uses RPM, just similar to Red Hat. So you can use one of these options, right? If you're using Ubuntu, just click on this, and I'm sure it will give you the command that you have to run. Yeah, so to give you the command, installing MongoDB Community Edition, you have to run the wget command just to add this to your yeah, let's see. Okay, yeah, of course. So you have to use this to add this to your probably your repository, or maybe it has to point. Yeah, I think it has to point to a repository or something. Then you use the sudo apt-get to install this, and I think after that you have to do some importation again. Once installed. Okay, so I guess you only do. So let's see. Let's follow this step by step. The operation should respond with OK. However, if you receive an error, okay, so you have to run this if something goes wrong when you run this command. So I think that command would not only get the file but also install it. I think so because yeah. Okay. So I think we'll get to this point here where you have to install MongoDB org. So this is the command. If you're using Ubuntu, I believe most of us using Linux around here will probably be using Ubuntu or Red Hat. So you just have to follow those links. So at the end of the day, I think you can run this using the systemctl command. So if you know any of these things I'm talking about, if you're familiar with this, just visit this page and try to install this by clicking on one of those links. Then finally, if you're using a macOS, you just have to click on this, and I'm sure you just have to first make sure you have your Xcode properly installed. Then you have to use the brew command to first tap the MongoDB repository or the MongoDB location on Homebrew. Then you have to use the brew command again to install the community version. So it's quite straightforward, right? It's straightforward, and I think that is all you need to know about installations. If you have any problem when trying to install this, let me know, and I would attend to you. Okay, so the next thing I really want to show you is the shell, but maybe I should go ahead and run this command on my own end. Yeah, but I already have this installed, so I just have to copy this, tap this, and then copy the second link or the second command. I'm going to cancel this anyways. I'm going to cancel this. I already have it installed, and I'll paste this again. I already have this installed as well. So it's telling me if I want to reinstall, I should run brew reinstall. I already have this installed. So let's clear this. Let's come back here now and let's focus on understanding these commands. We're going to test these commands on the MongoDB shell. Yeah, we're going to test on the shell. So we're going to create a database. We're going to create like collections. We're going to create table documents, and the document has the fields. So let me explain what this actually looks like. Yeah, I think I should use cd desktop, and I'm going to make directory mongodb cd mongodb and sublime. And so let's create mongo.json and also mongo.js, right? So we can just come on, sorry about this. I just finished the Python class. I have to close this first. Don't save. Okay, so yeah, so okay. I think something went wrong with my commands. Oh yeah, something went wrong with command. I forgot to add the touch. Okay, so I have these two files in here, mongo.js and mongo.json. So I actually wanted to show you, so for example, you can have something like this, as a document, or referred to as a collection here. So we can have like this is a collection like users, right? And right inside this collection, you have a bunch of documents, right? And inside this document, you always have the ID, which is of course I think it's referred to as object ID. Then you have the okay, so I think I'm making a mistake. It's called the ID underscore ID with an object ID. So you probably get something, with a bunch of numbers and alphabets as well. So you get something like this. Maybe I would have done this inside JavaScript. Yeah, makes more sense. Okay, so you have something like this, containing like a large amount of data. So you have a particular item. So this item might be you have an ID under users, and you have like a username, right? This is just an example. Solomon Model. Okay, let's stick to we have the password, which is probably like an hash. So I'm just showing you what you might see. We'll try it. So we're going to see like some examples. So this is an example of a data just holding like username, email, and password, right? So and you have like so something like this. So this is an example, and then you have multiple documents. So this is a document, right? Inside this document, you have the field, and you have the value, right? So you have the field, which is of course the key and the value, but you have multiple keys and multiple values, making it a document. This is also something you can automatically convert this into JSON, right? This is what they refer to as the JSON format, right? So you have this document, you have another document, you have another document. So you just have like multiple documents in here. So I think I should have a comma just like this. Good. Okay. So you have something like this. Probably this should be this. Yeah. So you have something like this, right? Inside your MongoDB, you're able to maybe by saying get the users get a user with this specific username. Using filters, so you can easily use the filters to search for items, right? So we're going to use the MongoDB shell. Once you've installed MongoDB on your laptop, I believe you should have access to Mongosh. We have, I think we have multiple shells. So I think I've tried, let's see. So I believe we have Mongosh, which is what we're going to be using. By just typing the Mongosh command, it drops you into the MongoDB shell. That's the Mongo shell. That's what Mongosh actually stands for. But I think we also have Mongodb or Mongo. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So I think let's see. Mongo. Okay. Yeah. Mongo and Mongosh. Okay. So we're going to be using Mongosh for this session. So let's just quickly follow the tutorial. Type in Mongosh. Where we have access to the MongoDB as I would have loved to call it a repo because that's what it actually looks like, right? So it's a repo, and right inside the repo, we can create multiple, we can perform multiple, actions. So if I click on the Mongodb Shell usage, it gives us like a couple of commands that we can use to, learn how to use this. So basically, it's more like an object pattern, like the way you see it in JavaScript. You call some objects, call some methods or some functions. We're going to be trying all of them right now. We're going to be trying them. We're going to create collections. We're going to insert data. We're going to, delete data, and we're going to do all those stuff just by following what we have on the perform CRUD operations. So first off, I think we should start by just typing in DB, right? And this DB would actually just call test to show you that you are inside the test DB. So if I go ahead and I can use a different DB, whether I've created it or not, to automatically pop up. So I can use use. Let's just assume we're trying to build, a new platform, right? A new platform, maybe like an online shop. So I can say use online shop, and it says switch to online shop. We've not created this, but we're able to switch automatically because it did not find it, so it created it sort of. So we are currently inside the online shop, and this is where we can start creating collections, creating documents. Now, in a real situation, in a real world environment, you won't be doing this here. So you would have to do this inside your code base, right? Your code base. So, but this is just a way for you to test and quickly learn how to use this tool, right? But you can actually use this to run queries. Maybe you can use the Mongodb to connect to your online instance and just search around and play around with data. So now we are inside the online shop just by doing use online shop. So what can we do here? Let's follow the command. Now that we're in here, we are going to create a new collection. And of course, you can decide to create a new collection first, or you can just go ahead and start using the collection automatically. Even if it doesn't exist, it comes out like it's created instantly. So let's not follow that pattern. Rather, let's follow the options we have here, which is the usage, right? So let's follow the usage. I'm going to click on perform CRUD operation, right? So I think we have a couple of CRUD operations here, like create. Let's click on insert. So this is how you actually insert items. Even though we've not created this, it will do that automatically. Let's go back to the usage, and let's do this. Okay. Okay, so you see that to create a new database, use the use keyword, and that will do the creation for you. And yeah, all you have to do is to start inserting into your collection. So I think basically you need to always first identify, what you want to create. So let's start by saying, let's just start by saying we have like we're building maybe like an online shop, right? So building an online shop, and inside the online shop, we want to be able to track some details. And I think this was the major reason why I shared the use case with you. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in that use case here from the charts. Let me see. Okay, so I shared this use case with you. We're going to read through this use case and try to understand what we have to do here. So this is a use case, as you can see. Close. Okay, so this is a use case. And on this use case, this is not very good. So let me, yeah. So on this use case, you can see that a customer visits an online shop, browses through different products and places and order for some. Okay, yeah, sorry, browses through different products and places and order for some of the products. Okay, and based on the invoice, customers can pay using discount code or gift cards and pay for the remaining amounts by credit card. Okay, so now this is what a client or maybe someone wanting to build an online shop will probably tell you because they don't know how they need to model this. They're not engineers, right? You are the engineer. So I think this is where your engineering skill comes in, because what you have to do is simply by looking at this, you need to start picking out the key pointers here. So what are we building first? An online shop, and that is limited. And then within this online, like name of the online shop, some of the preference that you need to upload, like you need to upload logos, so you have to have a space for the logo, like the image, the color, and all that stuff. Those ones can come in later, but everything I just spoke about right now will be found under the online shop settings, or the online shop itself. So the next thing we should be looking at is we have something like products, so which means we're going to be working with products, right? We have something like orders, so we're placing orders, so we should have orders for some of the products. So based on the invoice, so it depends. This invoice is just something that shows up, after you place an order, but you might want to, model the invoice. Maybe you plan to save them, for reference purposes. You can always search for your invoices just to see previous invoices. Not a big deal, so you can save them. The next thing, which is one of the most important, the customers, right? Which is the users. Depends on how you want to model them. I think this is what I was discussing with a couple of engineers. So I was telling them that the customer has like a whole bunch of subclasses or models you might want to create, because the customer is a user, right? So you might want to model this by saying the customer is a user, the customer has a profile, the customer has an address. You can decide to store addresses on a separate schema of its own, or table of its own, or collection of its own, and you can do your mapping, right? You can say a user can only have one profile. One profile belongs to a user, right? A user can have multiple addresses, right? And so you do those mapping. But everything here belongs to the customer. And I don't see any reason why you should try to separate it into like several modules. Everything can be one module or maybe one package with different modules, doing similar work, just connecting each other. So everything here belongs to the customer. So what else are we looking at here? Can pay, right? You can pay using discount code. So you have different payment options, but everything falls under payments, right? So since everything falls under payments, okay, so I don't think I copied the entire use case. So there's another part. Yeah, so it's still part of this. Okay, so since everything falls under payments, we're going to have probably different ways to organize this, right? So we have the gift card. I'll spell today. We have the discount code, which I would think is also the coupon code. Code. And finally, we have the CC, or the credit card. So you have to think of a way to handle these payments and possibly store stuff like this. And of course, they did not mention anything like wallets, but as an engineer, you should ask yourself, okay, are we going to be implementing wallets? That is your own to consider, but let's just add it here, wallets, because once there is payment, then there might be need. It's not necessary, but there might be. So it depends on what or how you want to build this. On most online shops, they don't have wallets, right? So let's just take it up for now. Purchased products will be picked from one or several warehouses. Okay, so which means we're looking at also having warehouses, and we'll be shipped to the provided address. So we already have address. You see, we've solved that problem already. Okay, so my concern right now, and I would say this is my, or should I say my advice, my advice for you is to learn how to read through stuff like this, and come up with key pointers to what you might need to build in terms of like modules. And I will show you how to quickly wrap up a very quick prototype, just to test. Of course, you can't show the customer or the client that you're working on this prototypes, except you already have like a working prototype. So when I mean prototype here, I'm talking about just prototyping JavaScript codes to give us something that might work, right? Something that we might be able to play around with. Okay, so let's come back here, and we're able to create our online shop by just saying DB online shop. Let's zoom in on this. Okay, so we're also able to just do DB online shop. So the next command we're going to follow through now is just a way to create all these, to create data to read. So let's first create a collection, right? Let's create a collection. So we're going to create collections from here. So customer is a collection, products is a collection, orders is a collection, invoice, payments, and warehouses, they are all collections. So we're going to create one for customers. So I'm just going to do db.customers, and we're going to follow what we have here. So we have db.customers.insert1, and this is how you insert. I think I would rather um, try to grab all the commands. So we have a place for, yeah. Just hold on, let me go through. Okay, I think I have the link. I think I also dropped the link for you. So just in case you can check that link. So we have the quick reference. I think this is what I want, right? Yeah, a quick reference here. Okay, so you can see all your collections. Yeah, so let's follow the quick reference. I think it makes more sense. So by running this help command, you are able to, we'll get here, but let's just follow it this way. So by running the help command, you are able to follow through on or understand most of these commands, like the use command, the show command, right? It's looking scattered because of the way I zoomed in, right? So we have the connect command, we have the version, the load, right? So I believe we can just run version here, and we'll probably get this is coming out like a function. So maybe it has to look like this exactly. So the version command, yeah, the print command. So you see we have print JSON. Of course, we're not printing anything here. I don't know if this would work. Like, oh wow, okay, it worked. So we have some of these commands. Let's just quickly. So if we run the db.help, it's going to tell us more about the db command itself, I believe. So the db.help. So this is telling us about the DB command, right? The versions, hello, starts, host, this stuff we have right here. Okay, so next we have yeah. So next, we've tried to use DB. So let's try the show DBs, right? Show DBs would show us all the database items we have. So the reason why you can't see the online shop here is because we've not stored anything in here, but it has been created. But until you have a file in here, you can't see it on this list. So if I do a quick insert, it will definitely show up on that list. We're not doing that right now. So let's quickly show collections. So of course we still cannot see anything. Show collections is supposed to show us what we have in here, but we can't see anything at the moment. Please, I want you to give me just 2 minutes. Apologies, just 2 minutes, please. Around here has been a very big problem for some time. So sorry about that. So let me continue with where I stopped. So I was trying to show you that this particular one, this particular command would show you like the collections you have. Um, Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly use this command that we have here, db.collection.insert1. We don't have that collection just yet, so I'm going to do db. But maybe let's just say like preference, just an example, right? But insert one. So this is what it looks like. So in here, you are going to have what do we want to insert? Maybe like the theme, right? Maybe the theme of the website or something. So we have the theme, and I'm just going to do dark, right? So now this was inserted. As you can see, we have that object ID and acknowledge true. So if we go ahead and do show collections, now you see we have a new collection just by inserting. We have the preference collection. If we go ahead and do show DBs, you see we have our online shop showing up now because there's a data in there, right? So we had to jump past some things just because I wanted to show you some of those things. But let's go back here, right? Let's come back here. Now you see that show collections is giving us that particular collection because we just created it. So we can add items to multiple collections and we have all those collections show up, right? So if I go ahead and do this is an example. Remember I said you should know what your data is meant to look like at the end of the day so that you won't make like trivial mistakes. You should know what. So let's assume we just say our customer is meant to have a data like this. So just an assumption, our customer has like an ID, for example. Let's take up the ID because we have generated ID. So let's say we have like customer name, customer. So I'm going to copy and paste this in there so it's be faster for me. So customer name we have like John Doe. Then we have like a customer. This is just an example. Email. Then we have like sorry, this should be like this. Okay. So we have customer email. We have johndoe@gmail.com. So just an example. Finally, we have let's say address. I don't like it when this is almost getting to another. Yeah, so I think I need to enable wrap or something. I don't know. Let's see. Wrap word wrap. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so that works now. Okay, so we have the wrap enabled. So if I do the customer address, I can add in the address here like Lagos, Nigeria. So I can copy this item. I can come back in here and do db.customers.insert one, right? I can paste this in here, and you see we have that customer created. So you can also do insert many. We'll get there. So if I go ahead and do show collections now, you see that we have two collections, customers and preference, because we've added data, right? Yeah, so basically that is the way it is. Once you put in a data there or put in a data there, it automatically creates the collection if the collection does not exist. So quite straightforward, quite simple. You don't need to do the usual create table, start setting a lot of columns and a lot of rigid style. You don't need to do all those stuff. This is no SQL, right? So yeah, so we can also show the number of users we have because you can create multiple users, right? So we can see, of course, we don't have any user right now, like it's just the default, right? The default we're using. So we can create multiple users, give them different roles, permissions, and all that. That is something more complex. I don't think it's so important, like on this call right now. Yeah, but you can also add multiple roles. So these are different roles. You see, we have like the read and write role. So you assign these roles based on who is accessing your database, and of course, based on you assign this so that you can give them permissions on what to do. So you can connect this to like a specific application, and maybe that application should be able to just read the data, right, and not write. They should just read, or you give them both read write. So these are just the permissions. You can check out the profiles. So let's see. Yeah, so you see your current profile on MongoDB generally. So we've done show databases already, I believe. to show all our database items. All right, so finally, I think we can now move down to the basic shell JavaScript operations, what we've been trying already, right? So we can just go ahead and start testing, testing some of them. So, so as you can see, you can actually use this like JavaScript, right? So for example, we can assign a collection into a variable. So we can say, now that we're in this database, we're inside the online shop, we can say users, for example, customers equals db.customers. So I believe we can actually do this. So let's see. So if we go ahead and run customers dot insert one, for example, and we come back here. Sorry, where is that? Yeah, we'll copy this again, paste it in here, but this time maybe we'll change the address to Abuja, Nigeria. So you see that's entered now. So we did not use the db.customer, but we moved the full db.customer into customers, So now we are able to use it that way, right? So you see that it works like JavaScript. Once you know JavaScript, it's straightforward. If I do customers.find, you see it gives us all the data we have inside customers, right? So you see we're able to get the ID, the customer email, the customer address, right? You see the amount of items we're able to grab from here. This is what we've stored so far. So just by running customers, and the reason why I'm using customers.find is because I already attached the db.customers into the customer variable, which means I can actually create multiple variables. So I can say customer var, for example. That is not a good name. Customer variable. And I think this is too long. Okay, so let's just do CV equals db.customers. Oh, sorry. Yeah, db.customers. Okay, so now I can do the cv.find, and I get everything in here. So just a way to make you understand that these are functions that can be used in this pattern. It makes it more easier for you. So based on what you can remember, right? You can just shorten this like you can make it as simple as this. So db.collection.find, this will give you all the documents within that collection. The description is here, and this link is on the chat, right? So everything you need, to use, you can insert one item, you can insert multiple items, and you can update an item, you can update multiple items. So let's go ahead. We're going to insert a new item. We're going to update that item. We're going to insert multiple items. I think I've shown you how to insert one item already. So let's talk about inserting multiple items. If you click and open this in a new tab on your browser, you are able to see an example. It's simply just by adding a comma, right? It's simply just by adding a comma. So this is a way to insert multiple items. Of course, they are doing this in a try-catch. Just in case something goes wrong, you are able to catch your exception. This is JavaScript, right? Yeah, but we're going to use this command instead, right? Just what we have in there, because we are currently doing this on the terminal. So this is what we have. db.product. Remember, we don't have. Do we have the product collection? No, but by default, we are going to automatically create this. So we have the product item and the quantity as different objects. So by running this command, we're going to have 3 products. So now we have 3 products. Let's go ahead and view them. So if we say db.products.find, it's going to give us all those products. So you see all the products, the product number 1, product number 2, product number 3. And this is the same command you run in Node.js, JavaScript, when you're building your application. Though there are other ways to access Mongo from your code. We have a lot of options, but I think one of the best options I've seen is using what we call Mongoose, which I would also share with you before we talk about it. It's called the ODM, like Object Document Mapper, right? So let me just share this in the charts, right? So let's share that in the chat. Okay, so this is a way to insert many. So as you can see, what I'm going to be doing here is quite simple. I'm just going to point on a specific item, do the same thing. We have examples, right? So once you open that in the tab, you see the examples. It's not something complex at all, right? It's not something complex. You have examples. Pick from the example, I think the best thing I'll do right now is to explain, right? So let me just focus on explaining some of these things. So insert one, of course, to insert one item, insert many to insert multiple items. We have the update one to update a single item, update many to update multiple items. But right within the update function, the way it works is if you add what we call the sets. So let me close this. If you add sets, so this is if you add sets, what this will do is that it would append. Yeah, it's kind of it's gonna append a bunch of items. But let's just look at it from here. So we have another option called I think it's upsats. I'm going to explain that as well. So so let's see where this was explained. Yeah, so as you can see, set would add fields, right? On set, of course, which is I think this is the alias on set, which is project replace root. Okay, so I think these are some of the options you have. But if you don't use the set, it's going to replace the entire content, like completely. It's going to replace everything you have in there. So I think an example is what you would find. Let's see. Okay, so I don't think they have like any base example. Okay, so you can update and you can update based on the filter you pass, which means update this specific item based on that filter. But I was actually expecting to see. Okay, yeah, offset. Okay, so offset here is create a new document if no document match. So you are trying to update, but you are not sure if that particular item you're trying to update exists. And the idea is, okay, if that document does not exist, then please create a new item, and that is where this would help you, which is the offset or offset. It depends on how you want to pronounce it, right? But you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so these are other options you can use for the updates, right? Okay, so I think you can just come to this document, scroll through and pick up the examples here, but it's quite straightforward to do. So we also have update menu, to do that for multiple items. We have the save and insert either a new document or update an existing document, the collection. So I think this is good, because if you use the save command, if you're not sure that you already have something there, but it's similar data that might you don't want to have like double data, of course, so you can use the save. Yes, then we have the delete. You can delete one, you can delete many. So you see it's quite straightforward, right? You can delete one, you can delete many. We have the collection.drop, right? If you want to drop the entire collection. So if we go ahead and run that, if we say db.products, which we already have. So if you say show collections, I think it should be, yeah. So if you say db.collections.drop, and I think it's db.products.drop, it's going to drop that product, so you have true. So if I go back and do show collections, you see that products is gone, right? So basically, that is what the drop would give you, right? So delete is to delete the items inside the collection. Then the name of the collection dot drop will drop the collection. You can also create index, and this is just to create indexes that you can use to get better performance. We'll talk about index maybe when we are building something realistic. We'll talk about index, but of course, I want you to always remember to create indexes for your collection, because when you create index, you can search on those indexes. So indexes are more like the points that you want to that you're going to be using for search, right? And the reason why it's good to have indexes, even if you're working with relational databases, is basically because you want to improve the performance of your search when you are trying to look for items using those particular keys that you used as the index. So you just need to remember that. That's what an index is. I need to show you another tool, which is the compass. So these are the basic tools you're going to be using, like for your basic CRUD operations. A lot of things you would do with Mongo. Of course, find, which is performing like queries, right? So find, you would also use filters, within the find. But basically, you can look for a specific item. So let's try this right now. So you see, we can actually find a single item. Let us go back to what we have here. So I think we have customers and preference. Let's first do db.customers.find to get all the items. Okay, so this is a specific item. Both of them have John Doe. So I'm going to search for, just this one with the Abuja, Nigeria. So let's go to db.customers, right? Dot find one, and we're going to pass this in, right? And you see we're able to get just that single item. So basically, this is how you do your select query, similar to select queries in relational databases. So we're able to search for this specific item. So you see how simple it is. Nothing complex, just taking this from here, and I'm able to run this, and it's quite simple. If you have any question, please drop a question on the chat, because I don't know if you are following through, right, the way I'm talking about it, and I'm just trying to be fast because of the time we have. But this is not it's not complex at all. It's not complex at all. So there are more things that you would do, things like aggregations. I hope you can still see my screen. Yeah, so things like aggregations, things like understanding data models, transactions, indexes, securities, replication. Don't worry about those things for now, right? This is our first class. You don't have to worry about those things. But if you go through the documentation, this will not be a problem for you, which I would advise you to do, because we don't have much time. So learn to go through documentation. This is what I read every now and then. So if I open a new tab, you see I have MongoDB, as a pinned tab here. I have data stacks. I was working with another type of document DB or NoSQL DB called Cassandra. So you see that's what I have here. I always go through these stuff like, documentation is great, right? This is one of the best database related documentations I've used, right? So really, really amazing documentation. You can go through all the commands one after the other. We also have like this map reduce function, which is a complex stuff that I don't need to talk about now, but it's great. It's great when you are doing more like maybe when you're working with data streams, with big data streams, right? Yeah, so I think basically these are some of the things. Let's go ahead and try to use some of these commands within our application. So we're going to create a very simple Node.js application. We're going to connect to the application, and yeah, let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to go down to the connection documentation. So I just this is okay. So this is Mongoose. We're not using Mongoose yet. So let's just do MongoDB local connection Node.js, right? So setting up local MongoDB connection in Node.js, and the reason is because I want us to get this. I want us to be able to connect to the MongoDB client. So you see, we have to use this. So this documentation, this blog we're looking at right now is from what's the name of this? Comsian. This is, maybe I'm not pronouncing this well. I don't know, but I mean, you can check it out. Let me share this with you. Yeah. So we have to install a library. We have to first initialize our project. We have to install MongoDB, right? We have to install MongoDB. We have to use MongoDB, and we have to connect to our local environment, which is just this IP, which is 127.0.0.1, which is our home IP, of course, or local host on this specific port. So when you install MongoDB, it runs on this port. So let's go ahead and try this. Let's go ahead and try this. Let's follow through on the documentation. What I'm going to do right now is, we're on the terminal. I'm going to exit out of the Mongosh environment. So now this is MongoDB. I'm just going to do npm init -y. So we are able to initialize, a new node project. I'm going to, of course, I have this already opened here, right? So I'm just going to install npm install Mongo. I think it's MongoDB. Yeah, let's see what we have here. MongoDB save. So this is just to have it installed on your laptop rather than just having it on this project. So I'm going to run this. This should not take long at all. Okay, so the next thing is to use this command just to have it in our project. So we're going to use that command. I'm going to delete some of these things. Yeah. So we have this MongoDB client, right? So we're able to set up the MongoDB client by requiring this item, which is this library that we installed already. So you can go ahead to set up the URL, and this is the URL that you can access MongoDB on, right? So if your cluster is online, you have to put in your online URL. So I would show you. Let me see how many minutes. Oh my god. Okay, so time. Yeah, so let's go ahead and just use this bunch of code here to connect. So what we have here, what this would give us basically is yeah, so this is using a callback, of course. So what this is going to do is to connect to this URL, right? And it's going to tell us if there was an error. And if there is no error, we're going to get the console.log MongoDB connected on this URL. So this is a very simple code base. We try to connect from here. And, if there is any issue, show us the error, tell us that there's an error. If there's an error, tell us there's an error. And then, we say we want to connect to this specific DB. So which DB do we have here? We have the online shop, right? So we have the online shop DB. So let's go to online shop. That's what we have. So tell us if it's connected or not. And let's go ahead and try this from here by just running node. I think it's mongo.js. So it says MongoDB connected. What if this was wrong? Let's see what we get. So okay, so still connected, but I believe it's not able to connect to this particular DB. So what if we make a mistake here? Let's go ahead and try this again. So now we have an error because yes, so nothing shows up. It's still trying to connect on the background before showing us that error. So that's because the IP is wrong. So if that is correct, how can we start playing around with this? How can we see if you can actually create a collection using this simple command, which is basically what we've been doing, right? So we create this collection, we insert into the collection. Let's go ahead and try these commands. I would share this file with you, or probably the URL, so that we can just try this, on your own. We're able to create a collection. I can spell. We're able to create a new collection. Okay, then we're able to insert, basically what we've been doing, right? The only difference here is we're not using the db.collection.insert one, right? But if you look at this, we're using the courses because we're able to pass the collection into a variable like what we did initially, and we're able to, create some items, right? We're able to create some items. So we're going to test this. We're going to run this command. We're able to insert multiple items, right? We're able to do find and all that. So this is insert single item. We're able to insert multiple items. Back here, we're able to find, right? We're able to get all the items by just running find. So you can use all those commands, right? You can find based on the filter. You'll find one. You can find many. You can update one, update many. I think this is all to do for now. Go ahead and so yeah, this is find all items. So we're able to find all the courses, right? So let's go ahead and just run this again. Let's see what we have. Okay, so there's a problem. It says DB is not defined. So let's go back here and let's know what. Yeah. So the reason why we get DB is not defined is basically because we have this inside this. This. I think I should rather put it here. Let's try again. Okay, so we're still having other, of course, clients. Yeah, we have to move. We have to move these guys down here. Okay. Where is my? Okay, yeah, it's my terminal. But what else? What else are we getting here? Already been declared. I thought I deleted that. Oh, come on. So client.db. Oh, we have that in here. Um, okay, okay. So basically, I think what I should do here is probably change the way this is functioning. So I can actually create that client outside, right? I can create a client outside Mongo client dot connect URL, just to test this to make sure everything works. It says it does not have access to client.db. Why do we have this error here? Let's see. Why do we have this error here? So let's quickly look at what we're having here. So client.db is not a function, and mm, I definitely don't want to pass in this whole. Definitely don't think I would want to do this, but we're still having the same problem with the old client thing. Okay, so of course we have to really configure this properly. But what I'm going to do right now to avoid all these errors we're having, I'm just going to move what I have in here, just inside this, so we can work with the client we have here. Yeah, so I think that will definitely work for us. Yes, so we're connected and we're trying to perform some of these operations. The only unfortunate part is we're not printing, we're not doing our console.log and all that, because we did not, we're supposed to like get our results from here. You see the way it is when you insert this. We're supposed to have like console.log, and you have like the results. The results. Yeah, so you have the results. So when you insert one item, you have like the result of all the items in there, because we did the find, right? We did find. So these are all the items we inserted: web design, distributed database, artificial intelligence. You see, you have all those items here: web security, this, that, and more like repeated, because we've run this twice, right? So if I run it again once, we have like 9 items, right? So we're going to have like 9 items now, as you can see, because we're not meant to really structure this way. We're just trying to, just so you see that these items are working. So after inserting these items, you're able to use the find to get all the items at the end of the day. So I mean, this is quite simple and straightforward, and I hope you're not finding it confusing in any way. We're not going to do like complex stuffs, but just to show you that you are able to use some of the operations that we learned from using Mongosh in here, right? Because Mongosh was designed with this pattern in mind, the functional pattern of creating things like this. So this is MongoDB in a nutshell. We are going to be building, we're going to be building the use cases. That's the reason why we have these use cases. Where is the document again? Yeah. So that's why we have these use cases. We're going to be using those use cases and trying to check out these links, because I really wrapped up a lot of things in here. I did a lot of to get. For example, I think this is a whole CRUD method by one of the female engineers so I think one of the engineers at Mongo, came up with this blog where she described how to perform, these operations, how you can set up projects, perform these operations like creating documents, creating, reading, updating, deleting, And so she has like a lot of examples, and this is like one of the most interesting article I've seen. What I mean, talking about like the basics, right? So try to go through this article. Is also among the links you have there. You see, you're able to create these multiple items, right, by just passing in the client here. Um, so I think you really find this interesting, right? And this was also done with async await in mind, so that you can always like await for this function to finish its operation before you can print out the results. Because if you don't await this, of course, you know what would happen. It will automatically jump into this one even when this is not done yet, right? So that is async await in JavaScript, which of course we have also explained during the course of our classes. So check out this documentation, read through this documentation, ask me as many questions as you have. What you are seeing here, these are filters. This is greater than or equal to. If you have just the GT, it means greater than, right? So you're trying to filter, you are looking for an item. So this is, you are looking for an item within this collection, and you are saying you want to find, items which are the bedrooms that are greater than or equal to the size you have. This size is something you must have declared as a variable, somewhere, right? Then you are also at the same time checking for the bathrooms that are greater than or equal to the minimum amount of bathrooms. So this is more like something you can use, greater than or equal to, you can have less than or equal to, you can have less than, you can have greater than. So you see there are so many examples in here. We're able to cast this to an array. There's so many examples in here that you can use, right? Just check it out and ask your questions. But this is an amazing article, trust me. Okay, so I think that should be all for the session. If you have any questions, let me check if you have any questions for me. I don't think so. But while you proceed with this, if you have any question, you can always reach out to me, via the room here. Just drop your questions, and once I'm active, once I'm online, I'll definitely respond to that. Have a wonderful night, guys, and thank you. And I hope to see you in the next class on time. I don't know, but just try to make it to the class on time. Yeah, so that's all. Have a wonderful night.